Hey guys, Steve here with 314 ADV, and today I've got a treat for you. This is an interview on July 28th of 2021 that I did with John and Dale, the creators of AdventurePalooza. And if anyone's from the central Midwest area, you know this is one of the premier events held the last weekend of September. Great couple guys, and I wanted to just kind of catch what got them into this, why did they create it, who are they, what do they ride, what's their background, just to give you an understanding of what kind of event this is and what kind of people these are. So if you haven't participated, what we're going to do this year, in addition to this video, I wanted to get some footage from this year's ride, some previous rides. So you're going to see a lot of videos and clips from the rides we've done, overlaid on top of the audio here. So have a wonderful time and enjoy. I'm nervous. You are? Yeah, I really am.
It doesn't show. It doesn't show.
I was nervous as fuck, man.
So we get to this place, and he goes to take off, and I'm not kidding you. His legs are dragging off the back.
Right.
He's like this, and he's riding this wheelie. And I mean, I'm like worried, but I'm laughing. And then all of a sudden the front wheel comes down, and he keeps on going.
Hey, nothing's changed. He still just laughs at me.
So, like, about what time was it? Like, what year was that, you think?
Oh my gosh, that would have been
2015.
So that's a pretty short distance between you starting
But within
to ride.
6 months, 3 months, I had a bike.
Well,
bought a bike,
no, it's
and
less than that.
we hit the ground
That's less
running.
Than that. He's totally off on that. So we rode that weekend. We rode. That was on a Tuesday when he came over the first time. No, it was on Tuesday the first time, and then we rode that Saturday. And then on Tuesday he calls me the next week. Hey, what are you doing? I said, nothing. He goes, hey, I'll be right over. I said, oh, okay. So he comes over on a DR 650, and I'm like, John. He goes, what? I go, most people don't start out on a 650, brother.
Yeah.
And he's like, it'll be all right. I'm like,
okay, go for it, man.
We did a lot of intensive training with John.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Like, literally, there was everything from teaching him how to basically slide the bike down if you're going to get in trouble.
Yep.
And I know you were apprehensive the first time. I was like, well, you're going to have to slide the bike down. And I mean, that's intensive.
It is.
You're teaching somebody to let the bike down.
Yep.
But we were training with a purpose. Already it was like, we're going to go camping. We're going to go adventuring.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, that's what I wanted to do. That's what I grew up doing, was adventuring and camping and going into the wilderness and going off-road and going off the map. And I had a lot of experience in that. I just wanted to take it further. And you get this age, there's not a lot of people ready to go adventuring.
No.
And so when Dale was like, well, yeah, that's what I want to, he was looking for people to go with.
Right.
But he finally came to the conclusion he's going to have to teach some more people to ride if he's going to have enough friends to do it.
I understand. So 2018 is when I did your ride.
Yeah.
I'd only been camping twice before that. So not only had I been riding 2 months, but I'd only been camping twice. So here I am, like that was a crazy weekend for me as well. Yeah.
So we actually, I keep people like yourself in mind when we're designing Palooza.
Right.
And I don't want to jump ahead in the interview, but I'll put a note in there. When people sign up, we ask them what level rider they're at.
Correct.
And we actually look at that, especially when we're trying to put some solos together. But when we're designing the ride, we put information whether, we're kind of designing it for an average rider. So we put opportunities for skilled, like really good riders, and we mark stuff that are hazardous and all the way down to easy workarounds. But we want to get people into it. Like, that's one of our goals. I'm sure we'll talk about more of those kind of things, but one of them is to get people into the adventure ride. And it's a little counterintuitive because Palooza is kind of big, it's kind of complex, and it would be maybe intimidating for a new rider. They might think, oh, I couldn't do this, but they can't they? Like,
well, and when you read through, like, you guys have that frequently asked questions section on your website and stuff.
Yeah.
And it talks about, like, I'm new to this, what do I do? And number one, a new rider can do it.
Yeah.
And what I really appreciated is that you had some experienced riders tap in. So it wasn't like there were 6 brand new riders all trying to figure this out together. We had the opportunity of some experience and some newbies. Yeah. And so that really made a big difference because it allowed for capacity for them to say, hey, you know what, that's probably not a good idea.
Well, that's one thing when we do set up people, when they sign up solo looking for, whatever, a group, we always look at what level. Because you don't want to put, somebody that has zero skill with guys that want to just go, all out.
All out, yep.
So we try to find guys that are, solo looking for a team, and we'll call them and say, hey, we got some guys that want to go, or ladies, or doesn't matter, and they're either just getting started. Would you mind, helping out? And they're like, oh, absolutely. We have
there's a lot of teams who volunteer to say, hey, we'll take on an extra if you need somebody.
Yeah, and I did not understand the questions you had. Now that I've been riding 3 years, I get the questions that you have, right?
Yeah.
And I even understand completely.
We got some good friends like Kenny up in Illinois.
Olson?
Yeah, Kenny Olson. They'll take on anybody. Doesn't matter what skill level. And I mean, they're just good dudes. And then Brett Dempsey?
Yep. Brett Dempsey,
so, Brett, what a
very
good
generous.
Dude. Very generous dude.
Out in Kansas, Kansas, Missouri line.
And then there's people like, you guys. And then there's Ken Doss down in Arkansas. Those guys, I mean, you could call them guys up in a minute. That's what I love about the adventure group people. Right. They literally will take
Robbie
anybody.
Samples.
Oh, Robbie, those guys. Gosh.
So there's a growing element of female riders.
It is. It's been
and
dynamic.
there's some that are scattered in husband-wife groups. There's some that are in little pairs. But there's been kind of like a movement to have like a team of just the girls, which is really neat. I think that's fantastic.
And this year they have
I think
one.
you have one this year, don't you?
Yeah. I mean,
a couple 250s, a 390, a couple other bikes in there. Yeah.
And these ladies are going to be for real.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty serious about it, I got to tell you.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa down in Arkansas,
yeah.
I mean, she just came off 5,000 miles.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you. And I remember Lisa's first year, and she was a little worried.
Lisa Rowland.
She was worried. And she was like, I don't know, And like we told her, it's for everybody. You can do alternates and blah, blah, blah. And now I see her on Facebook doing crazy stuff.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. And
well, Lisa's all over the place. And Robbie, she and her husband have made like an adventure, some trails on their property that are challenging.
Yeah.
Like, I rode with her. She kind of kicked my butt on her trails, man.
They've got trails. They've even got some what we call Kevin trails, because Kevin's an idiot. I love you, Kevin. but there's so much stuff down there. That's not far. We'll get into that later. It's not far from your guys' place either. So what kind of bikes are you guys riding now?
Like now?
Yeah.
So
we've got some bikes behind us here.
Yeah. So I've been a KTM guy for a long, long time. So I've had 990s, 1190s. I had the 690 Enduro, which I love. I've got a 500 now EX CF. And then I've got the BMW F800, which I didn't know if I was going to like F800s and stuff like that, just because I've been a KTM guy for so long. But the more I ride it, I love it. Not to say I wouldn't love a KTM, but I can tell you, when I talked to the guys down at Gateway BMW, they made me a good deal. They did. And it was, I rode it, and I go, man, okay, I hate to admit it, but I really like this bike. I mean, it's so smooth. My wife loves it. So, like, we do a lot of like double up adventure riding, and I mean she loves that bike. So there's many times where we did Palooza tracks, and I literally rode the F800 on the entire south that we did in 2019.
Yeah,
I rode the whole south on that. And I mean, if you
and
rode
the reason
that
I
19...
wouldn't even think of it is because if I drop that bike once, do you know how heavy it is to pick up? He doesn't drop it very often, man. This guy rarely drops a bike, so we don't got to worry. But the bike's not too big to go on even sort of technical trails.
I would not be afraid to take that bike on anything we've ever done.
But over the last 5 years, I'd say you've ridden the 690, which you sold.
I will tell you
the most.
So, to be honest, what I rode the most was those KLR 650s.
And the KLR.
I had KLR 650s. I used to have a couple of them at the same time. And literally to keep miles off, I would ride my 690, then I'd ride the KLR, then I'd ride the other KLR, then I had a WR 450, and then I would just keep changing up my bikes and stuff.
But I started on the 690, DR 650, I mean, which I worked really hard to adventurize it. You weld on them, you JB weld on them, do all this stuff. And just when I really had it down, I sold it. And I went the total other direction. I decided to try a really light bike. So I went the WR 250R, which is really popular in the adventure world. And I think it's a well-earned title. It's light. It's easy to pick up, but it's hard to drop it because the height is really adjustable. And the tipping point, like if you start to lose it, you can save it. The only trouble I had is we got into and it's got great gas mileage. And so I've ridden a lot of miles on it, thousands. Loved it. You can literally ride it off a bridge and dump it in the lake. and it's okay.
It's okay.
But, well,
Because you've done it, right?
so literally, what you can do.
Oh,
on
you
one
may
of
have to
those,
take
you
a
can come
bunch
around
of things
corner
apart.
way too fast.
Way too fast.
Realize that there is a
90-degree turn.
90-degree turn. There's like a bridge, but you decide not to take the bridge, and you decide, I bet I could do a complete somersault into a creek, hang it off the edge, fall into the water, jump out of the water, go woo, and then go grab it and let it fall in the water. And you know what? It will start.
We had to take all the exhaust headers off, spark
my
plug,
gosh.
disassembled the whole thing. But that is a Palooza story.
Right.
This
Yeah.
ties back to something because part of the reason I missed the turn is we had just come through a 90, a couple of S turns and a 90. And I said, man, I got to mark this for cautions. Caution
As you're
on the
hitting the
GPS
caution
for the
GPS,
other riders. I'm thinking about the other riders.
Right.
And then I'm just brapping and punching buttons, and I look up, and it's way too late. But I was actually
Thank God
trying
there
to...
was a berm.
Yeah.
If there wasn't a berm, he would have went right off into these trees.
Oh, man.
He's seen that berm, and I know in his head he was thinking, I need to lay this bike down because Dale says if I'm in trouble, just lay it down. So he
I
went
tried to
do
save
the
it, though.
Turn like this, and he hit that berm, and it just
Yeah.
shot him off.
But this other orange bike is mine. We both have 500s right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So now I've kind of gone about halfway in between.
Okay.
The WR left me in pretty high RPMs going up really steep long hills.
Okay.
Steep short hills, great. But steep long hills, you kind of had to peg it, and that puts it in the high RPMs, which for me, not having ridden for a long many years like Dale, I was
Right.
going to say the number, but that's
okay.
Can't count that
I have
high.
a
But for me, it's like, man, I want the bike to stay a little calmer.
Right.
So I didn't like it having to be pegged
Pegged, yeah.
up steep. Now that being said, I read the WR in Utah, which is no joke. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some steeps, had a great time. But currently, I'm experimenting on the 500,
Okay.
and my big bike is also a KTM 690 because apparently I've been brainwashed
There you go.
into it.
You drink orange.
Yeah.
So I did the first year on a 310 GS, which is really a street bike with adventure look to it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next 2 years on a DR 650. So this will be my first year on the 450. So I'm kind of excited. But you know, I mean, most of the guys I'm riding with are on 1200s, on 800s. We did an Africa Twin. So I mean,
Yeah.
this is really an any size bike
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah.
And I, you know, one of the things I realized. So we went on a ride last weekend. We had a TW 200, and we had a Triumph Scrambler 1200.
Yeah.
Right. And it's as much about the person riding it as the bike, because we had that Scrambler in single track, and it was work, but he did it, right? Whereas the new guy on the TW, I mean, he'd only been out twice, and so he actually had more trouble on it. So it's kind of one of those things where I really, you know, you guys have put together a set of tracks that, despite what bike or what skill level you are, wherever you're at, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a point of saying, hey, and this is what I tell everyone I ride with. If you look at that and you're like, I'm not comfortable, guess what? You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You can turn around. You can go another direction.
And not only that, because I mean, it's there's checkpoints,
Right.
But you don't have to do
to do it,
anything.
yeah.
It's as much as you want to do it, and
Well-
you can make. There's no disqualifications. It's not
Right.
like a race in that
Right,
sense.
exactly.
Even though you can compete,
Yes.
you can compete if that is exciting to you, and people do. People love that.
Right.
But a lot of people, you know, they hit a few checkpoints for fun. They take as many shortcuts as they want. You can
Right.
do that, and if it's an obvious higher skill thing, we flag it and or put a workaround so
Right.
you don't even have to figure it out
Yeah.
if you studied your map.
No, the tracks are fantastic. You
Yeah.
guys have always done a fantastic job with that. And I know you have put a lot of time into not just routing and scouting, but actually talking with locals,
Oh,
talking
yeah.
with landowners.
We love to meet
hey,
people.
can we go here? Can we do this? You know, I've learned a few.
It
times.
looks successful because of what you
Okay.
guys.
So
We've had some encounters.
I've unfortunately been at the other end of a shotgun on somebody's
Yeah,
property.
absolutely.
Who's like, what are you doing? I'm like, my map says it's a road. He's like, this is not a road. This is private property. You know,
Oh,
you need
yeah.
to get off now.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I always tell people, it's not easy. And sometimes, we had this last weekend, you go down one path and you're like, oh, this is great. You put on your route. Or you decide to ride in reverse. You come around, there's like no trespassing, we'll shoot.
Yeah.
And you're
Sure.
like, I didn't see that sign because it's only on one way.
One way.
So, you know, the time you guys put in is to make sure that the route is...
Well, you're right. So laying down like 50 miles
Yeah.
of track that you would normally, maybe you'd zip through that in a couple hours. That may take 3 or 4 hours because you're stopping and talking to people. You're cross-checking the map.
Yep.
You're
So
all this stuff backtracking.
right. So we got a couple stories. Well,
Yeah,
one,
you want to hear some stories?
Sure,
Was it 2018, 2019 when they had all that rain? Was it 18 or 19? We had a ton of rain, and we ended up what we thought was going to be an easy route or easy track. We rode 4 or 5 different times.
Yeah, it's the northern half of the state.
Yeah,
there was just flooding everywhere.
And
so
we
kept getting stopped.
We ended up riding it. And next thing you know, we realized we got over 6,000 miles in. And we're like, holy crap. Because usually we put about 4,000, 4,500 miles in to actually make up Palooza. That's how many miles we put in. And it was like, we realized over time, maybe that won't be sustainable. September is when Palooza is. Then we get done. Then we do to basically take about 30 days off not talking to each other.
After it's over.
Yeah,
because
we take a break because we've basically spent from when we get to November, we start kind of talking and saying, hey, blah, 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 you know.
But from like February?
Well, December. Because December,
February
we go, hey,
to
by the way,
September, though, we are just together
and
all the time.
January comes around, we start talking, you know, okay, we got some ideas. What do you got? I got this. What do you want to start? Then February, we're hard. Just like it is. Sometimes in January, we're already on the road. Because like last year in January, we were already on the road.
We've done some exploring in the winter to get a head start. We've driven way up north in pickups.
Right.
And some of those creeks, you know, that we cross, crossing a frozen one that you don't know how deep it is in a pickup.
Yeah. I don't like doing that, but he keeps telling me, go ahead.
So we did crash through the ice in a pickup and hiked back 2 miles, maybe 2 or 3 miles, until we finally found a farmer with a tractor. And he was excited to meet us.
Like,
and we hung on the tractor sides. He drove us back. He was having a hard time getting through the snow. Like, what the heck are you guys doing? I don't know what we were thinking. But he brought us back. We chained it up, pulled it out. And, I mean, there's not time in this interview, but we've probably got a half a dozen this farmer with a tractor stories.
So when you guys met, how far into the I'm riding now did you guys decide it's time to put on a rally? What made you decide to put on a rally?
Okay, so that all came about because John, he really wanted to do adventure riding and stuff like that. And he'd never been on a ride, you know, that somebody else put on. I said, well, I've been to the Arkansas 500. Why don't we go to that? I said, it's a blast.
That's put on by Scotty at the Tiger Sanctuary.
I don't know if you've ever been on that. Awesome.
It's generally a good ride.
Yeah, it is. And there's parts of it you got to be pretty skilled to ride it. You know?
Okay.
But so anyway, so we went down and I probably should have thought about that the first time because that year Scotty had a really like technical route and we took it and John's
it blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah. but
we had a good time
by then.
We had a good time.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Okay.
And we were kind of talking about, man, you know, a lot of work to put one of these on. I wonder if, you know.
Well, I think one of the things we said was, gosh, if they had just done this little thing, you know, whatever it was, wouldn't that have been great? Or if they had done this, that really would have been helpful. And so we started brainstorming these things, and then we started coming up with all new ideas.
Well, like, and then we went on another ride.
Yeah.
And then that ride wasn't led at all. It didn't really have...
It wasn't so great.
It wasn't great. Yeah. And it was just one of those things, and we're not going to mention who that was, but that wasn't great. It wasn't a great experience. It was a great experience because of the guys we met.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a blast. The guys we met, we had a blast. And we honestly, that year, they had some flooding, and we were the only ones that completed the entire track the way it was laid out. A lot of guys backed up and went highway.
I think at that point we said, man, let's just do our own.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's take all the good stuff that we've experienced, put that together, but let's make it different though. Yeah. Okay. Like we wanted a new angle, we wanted something different, and we were like, you ever seen that movie? It's a Mad World. It's an old movie from like the 60s. And they're looking for a treasure or something, and they're all coming from all different directions. It's this crazy scramble to get to the money or whatever it is at the end. And I kind of had that concept, like, wouldn't it be cool if we could have really authentic adventure? Like, people don't really know where they're going. Right. They're going to just show up. They're just going to converge, and we just rolled with it. We just kept talking.
And one thing that John and I do, if you ever get on a helmet set with us, we talk a lot, but we sing. We don't know every song. Well, we know every song, but not...
He's exaggerating. We don't know any songs all the way through. Like, not any song, but we're just...
Right.
So anyway, so we brainstorm like that, you know, oh man, that would be cool. Oh, what if we did this? And then it led to, you know, this and that. And then by the time it was done, And
We were-
I don't know what ride we were on when
we
we
were
did that.
talking this out on the way home from a ride. And we had
Yeah.
like 5 hours to go driving. By the time we got back home, we had the whole concept laid out though.
And that was in April.
In one weekend.
That was in April.
In April, and we
So-
were putting it on that September. So we had to get busy.
There's a few things that you guys do that I have not, and that was the first one. So I thought the way you guys did this was how everybody did it. Since then, I've had probably 30 group rides and rally rides. And a few things you do different is most places you go to one spot, you camp, you
Right.
ride around for 2 days. You
The
keep going back to
Cloverleaf.
the same spot. Yeah.
Center.
Whereas you guys started in 4 different corners and all you come in together. That's kind of what you're talking
Yeah.
about, this all convergence, which was one of the coolest things and one of the craziest things because you're always like, well, I don't know where I'm supposed to start.
Right.
Which route should I do, you know? The second thing that was quite interesting is the fact that you create teams. Everyone else was kind of like, here's the ride, here's the route, here's the expense, show up, right? But there's not this creating environments. And the team you put me with, I know everyone's experience is different, but we are to this day still riding.
Right.
Okay, we've been out to Colorado, we've been all over the place.
Which
So we
by the
made
way, that
friends.
brings us a ton of joy.
I mean,
that
right.
really is fun for
and
us.
I hope that everyone who decides to do this, and I tell everyone, like, well, I'm solo. I'm like, look, they're going to create a group
Yeah.
of people for you that can make it happen, right? And
And actually, that's really helpful. I've noticed on the internet forums
Right.
and the ADV forum.
yeah,
People like yourself who now have experience,
Yeah.
the ride's been going, will chime in because we can't even answer all the questions.
No.
But I'll see some chatter and I'll see
Yeah.
you comment to someone like, "Go ahead and sign up. They'll contact you."
Yeah,
It's
they'll-
like,
they'll
all
make
right,
it happen,
yeah,
right?
we will.
but between the creating the teams, creating unique start points that
Yeah.
converge across,
Yeah.
and you know, some you can. I mean, you don't have to camp. You can get a hotel,
Right, and people do.
Yeah,
Most
do.
people can't, but some hotel it.
Yeah.
But you also throw in a scavenger hunt concept,
Yeah.
which is neat because, like you said, it's not a race, but it's something that it gets you off the bike and gets you talking with your other fellow riders.
That's right.
So when people say, "Hey, I'm having a hard time making friends with different riders. I'm not sure what to do," my always comment is, "You need to stop more often."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Look, if you're just riding, you're not talking."
That's right.
And I said, you don't hear stories, you don't hear what's going on, you're not around a campfire. I'm like, you need to stop more often. So go do things together,
right.
get off the bike more often, because riding and adventuring is more than just point A to point B.
right.
It's the adventure from point A
Yeah.
to point B
Right.
that it's really about, right?
right.
And whether it's a 20-mile ride or a 200-mile ride or a 2,000-mile ride, it's the stuff in between that actually makes that adventure.
And to your point, I would even say that Palooza, when you get to the end, that's a celebration. It's
Right.
like we got music, we got food, and we want everyone to
Correct.
start sharing their stories. We have the slideshow, and that's more of a celebration as opposed to like you have to make it to the end.
Right. Correct.
It's the adventure is where it's at.
Right.
We've had
Getting
people-
there is the celebration of the adventure.
Exactly. And we've had people call us and say, yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it. And we're always like, what happened? They'll say, well, my bike broke down. Don't worry about it. Keep coming.
Yeah.
You know, if you get somebody to come
Yeah.
pick you up, keep coming.
Yeah.
They're like, we can still come even though our bike's not right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Come
Yeah,
on.
absolutely.
Because we want you
Yeah.
to come. So, I mean, just because your bike breaks down doesn't mean, hey, don't
Yeah,
come.
you're
Come,
not out.
Please come, you know.
Good.
I mean, the thing that John asked me years ago, and I didn't know he was doing this at the time, he's like, what's adventure riding mean to you? And I said, well, to me, it's basically 3 things. And then that's how John came up with the sticker, him and his cousin.
Okay. All right.
And I said, well, for me, it's the freedom of riding, you know, and just being out there. And it's basically, you know, friendship and making friends with people and just having that time to talk about what happened through the day and all that kind of stuff. And then the last thing I always said was just riding back roads. I love that. Just, you know, all that kind of stuff. So John one day calls me up and says, hey, I got something I want to show you. And I said, all right, well, come show me. And he goes, no, I need you to come to my house. So I came over to his house and stuff, and he goes, take a look at this. And it was the first time I'd ever seen the sticker that him and his cousin,
it's a
Aaron-
fantastic sticker.
Thank you.
him and his cousin Aaron actually made the sticker. And what was really funny, I was like, where did you get the red guy? And he goes, we'll never believe it. Where'd you get the red guy?
Tell them.
it was a picture of me riding a wheelie.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so they ended up using that
on there.
That picture on there.
Yeah.
I thought that's
My cousin's
pretty
a
cool.
professional
Yeah.
artist
Yeah.
and logo designer, all this kind of stuff. So
But yeah, him and his cousin came up with actually the logo.
It's fun. All right. So I got a plaque from you guys.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I want you to sign the back of it.
right.
But besides having a plaque from here, there's a little couple of boo-boos on here. But the reason I brought this was not to point out the boo-boos,
Yeah.
okay? But it was because of the I think you've got one award that's had a boo-boo on it every year so far.
Yeah.
Right? Was the fact that despite things not always going perfect,
Yeah.
you guys roll with it and you make it work. And that is kind of like the story of life, isn't it? You know,
Sure.
There's always something, but it doesn't matter. It's not the important things. Important things, like you said, are the friendship, the freedom, the getting out, the exploring, and continuing. So if you guys don't mind, real quick, I know it's on video, I would like each of you to sign the back of it
Yeah.
for me. And I appreciate so much.
Well, we appreciate that you understand the vision of the freedom, the friendship,
Yeah.
the back roads,
Yeah.
and that you extend that. And we always say, if that resonates with you,
Yeah.
then you're an adventure rider too.
Exactly.
And that's why we enjoy giving out the sticker and sharing it. And we're trying to grow the adventure rider community.
Yeah.
That's one of our goals.
Yeah.
And it also gives us a purpose for a lot of riding.
Yeah.
And we just want to share that.
One thing we want to make sure we bring up this year, over the years, we've put in a lot of miles and stuff, and we know how much work it takes, and it takes other people a lot of work to do their rides too.
Thanks, guys.
But for us to make it sustainable, we were hoping that we had some friends that were interested in helping us out,
Yeah.
because there's some people in certain areas of the state that know that part of the state better
Right.
than we do. So this year we had Vince Atone and a couple of his buds and brother help us out.
Good.
So Vince is a very good rider,
Very
and he's
good
pretty
rider.
familiar with the whole Chadwick Springfield area,
Okay.
which we've been in.
Right.
But Vince knows
Vince
it like
knows
the back of his hand.
Yeah.
So we plugged him in, and this is the first year we've shared it. In the past, we've
Nice.
done all the tracks, and like Dale said, that's
Well, one thing
by the
that
time you explore and do it. I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking like 4,000 to 6,000 miles.
Yeah, and one thing that we've both been real sticklers about over the years, because we've been on rides where the ride was put on, but then you go to a dead end or a road that's no longer there,
Yeah.
is 100% of whatever we put out, we rode.
Right.
So we know that you can get
You
through
can
it.
get through it, yeah.
Because that drove me crazy, and it just,
Yeah.
he knows how much of I'm
Absolutely.
a freak about that.
So it was, we've made trips where we had a small section that we hadn't ridden because we had ridden from Mexico down till we camped and then turn around.
Yeah.
And from the other end, and we went as far as we could until we had to bail and take road. And it's like, this little section in the middle will be fine. And no,
You gotta ride that.
Dale has insisted it, but there's times we've gone back and it's like, son of a gun, that didn't go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought it. But this is the first year, just sustainability was one issue. Like, how can we keep putting in that
And-
many miles
And
and
every year
hours?
for us both is, can we make it better?
Right.
And every year we're like, I don't know, man, because last year was really good, or the year before was
Yeah.
really good.
We've
And then
made
every
some
year-
tracks we really enjoyed.
Yeah, and it's like, man, I don't think we can do better than this year. And then, like last year was great.
So sustainability is an issue, then time. But also, like Dale said, there's people that might know. I mean, you might know
Yeah.
southwest area of St. Louis now
Yeah.
better than us. St. Joe area and stuff. So we've started to plug in some friends. So we mentioned Vince Satone this year, Matt Wilbanks,
Okay.
Wilbanks. Yeah.
Okay.
and Drebeck,
Yep.
Okay.
You know Dre,
Yeah.
Dave Garrett?
Dave. And so they've each taken a piece southeast, south, and southwest.
Right, and they have partners that help them too.
Right.
And
So
they have partners help them too. Like, you don't know who you're gonna just run into as the day goes on.
You run into a guy that's coming all the way from, 10 Buck, Kansas, or something black, Nebraska.
Yeah.
If
And people are like, hey, are you on Palooza? What are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you go, oh, where are you coming from? They said, oh, I'm coming from, West Point, Nebraska. And you're like, West Point, Nebraska? Where are you from? I'm from St. Louis.
Oh, and
they're
heck,
like, what?
we have had now people from Texas, Michigan, Ohio,
Madrid, Spain.
Arkansas, Kentucky, Spain,
Yeah, we couldn't believe Madrid, Spain. That's
Kansas,
crazy.
Nebraska, Iowa, and Illinois. And
North Carolina, South Carolina.
I'd love to have
Georgia.
more, but that reach is hard to get. It's hard to convince someone.
Yeah. Well, and there's
to
a big
come from
concept that
5
what does
states
Missouri
away.
have to offer?
Right.
I'm telling you,
Which was another one of our ulterior
It's like,
motives.
dude, there is so
There's
much
great riding
in
here.
Missouri. It's
Yep.
unbelievable.
And not that we don't love Colorado and
Right,
Arkansas.
right.
They're great. But you don't have to leave the state and spend $2,000 on a vacation to go get some great adventure riding. That's what we want to offer people.
And besides, like, there's a lot of people that ride Arkansas, and Arkansas is great, but then they want to get out of Arkansas because maybe they've seen everything,
Right.
and then they come, up to that southern Missouri, and they go, "Where am I in Missouri yet, or am I still in Arkansas?"
Okay.
Or then they get to a point and they go, "Wait a minute, this looks like
Well,
Colorado."
and just hopefully the whole experience is unique enough,
Yeah.
different with they don't know who they're going to converge with, these crazy checkpoints, the camping, not even knowing exactly where they're going until just like a week or two before they head out. Hopefully that combined makes people that are in maybe some states with other good riding that go, this is worth going to anyway, this would be fun.
The first year we thought, well, if we can get 20 or 30 people to sign up, that'd be great. But our goal was 50 because we had heard a big ride in Missouri was 50. If we can get 50, oh my gosh.
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
Yeah. So our first year we got 55, and we were shocked.
Yeah.
I remember the first week that we put it up and we got one, and we were like,
Oh, man.
uh-oh.
But then we also discussed, once all the riding and the work is done, and the stage is built, and the camp wood fire is built, it doesn't matter if there's 100 or 200 at that point as 50. So let's keep trying to get more.
What
And
you've seen our stage? Yeah. We have what is it? $53.86 in our stage.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's because it's cobbled together from a lot of existing
So
farm
you
material.
guys pick a lot. You use a lot of local help,
Yes.
which I noticed.
Family.
Yeah, exactly.
And friends.
His
wife,
these
his
don't-
brothers,
these don't
my
happen with
sisters.
nothing. I mean, there's a lot of people behind the scenes.
Oh, tons.
When you show up and there's 5 people in the
There's
kitchen,
like-
you're like, man, you finagled somebody to do this. So-
Yeah,
because this is not like the money making,
that's right.
king that it's going to be. So,
Well, and people have to pay for the ride, but once you've paid for
But you got-
200 or 300 T-shirts,
Yeah.
and
Food
feed 300,
and-
and the band and incidentals,
Yeah.
it just flies right out the door. And then of course our big thing is we've been supporting the Wounded Warriors,
Yep.
and then we also have our own scholarship.
Right.
Which I'll let Dale maybe talk about either of those things, or
Well,
you can, because from your perspective, I'd love to hear
I was
what you
going to ask
think
first,
about
why
it.
did you pick those two?
Well, one is my entire family's military, and
Okay.
I grew up in the military.
Right.
And my brothers, they're awesome. I get emotional about that. But John was in the Marine Corps, and it's kind of one of those to support those guys. I mean, that was a big deal for me, and I know for him too.
And we want as well, we talked about some different causes, but there's a lot of causes that are divisive also, and not that the military isn't, but we felt that's something that we believed in, meant something to us, but would be acceptable to a lot of people.
Right.
It's
Right. And then the
supporting
other
Wounded
thing
Warriors.
was we wanted to, my son, my oldest son, went to a tech school, and I thought, he had to go to 4-year college to be successful. Well, it's not true. He's very successful, and he went to a tech school. And when I got to go to that tech school and saw everything they offered, I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, that's not saying that our scholarship's just for tech school kids. It's for any kid that wants to go to school, and it doesn't matter if it's a 4-year tech school or whatever. They really just have to explain any adventure they've ever been on, or adventure they want
write
to
an
go
essay.
on. Yeah.
And you get a vote on it.
Which at the
Yeah.
time of this recording, we're about to release the essays.
Okay.
We've got
Good.
Yeah.
2 scholarships to give out. We've got 3 kids right now that have applied. So
and anybody can apply.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. But it's one of those things that John and I, we didn't do this to make money. It's not that.
Right.
What our thing is we like giving back, and the way we can give back, and I think the adventure community in whole is a give back community, because they want to share. You want to share your adventure with your friends, and if somebody drops their bike, what do you want to do? You want to help them pick it up, and I can't tell you how many times that we have, put this together, and we have other people that donate more money for the scholarship fund. I mean, we're blown away.
very much.
We have literally received money in the mail for the scholarship fund.
Yeah.
Well, and not just money. I'll mention Brett Dempsey. The first year, I can't remember what happened, but he couldn't ride for whatever reason. So he showed up. He drove all the way in, like 3.5 hours,
Yeah.
just to help out. He's like, what can I do?
Yeah. And we were
Build
like, hey, we'll give
stage,
your
take
money back.
stage down.
Yeah.
And, we don't expect anyone to do that.
No.
But people, they're give back people.
And he was like, no, I'm done.
I've met so many cool, great adventure riders, people
man.
that, if I walk through a mall, which I don't go to a mall very often, like
Whatever,
maybe
he
once a
shops
year,
like crazy.
but like say I go through a mall, I'm not connecting with most of these people. And I think that's true in a lot of places I go. But when I adventure ride, I'm constantly like, yeah, these are my kind of people.
What have you experienced in putting this together that surprised you was much harder than you thought it was going to be? It could be any topic you want. And what that you thought was going to be extremely hard to do turned out to be super easy or well worth it?
Can I answer that first?
Jump on it.
Hardest thing. We're two individuals that have to work as a team. And at times, there are things that he wants to do and I want to do. So we have to compromise.
Okay.
And over years, we're both grown men that are stubborn, set in our ways. And we've learned over 6 years that we have to be able to compromise in the hot heat when you're just at the last part of the day.
On your last nerve.
On your last nerve. And basically, that's probably been the hardest thing. And, we love each other like brothers, you know what I mean?
Well, you sleep in the same tent. Oh my gosh, guys. All right, I don't know anyone else that does that.
Well, you know why we did that? So we used to have separate tents.
Package, luggage.
We used to have it's basically packing. And like in the morning, because we have such a short time period, because like we both work full-time jobs,
right?
We have to just be able to pack up and go.
Okay.
So it was faster, because John, I can
I
literally get up
I
an
get
hour ahead of time, and he'll just want to be
Unpack.
up 5 minutes and he's packed. I'm like,
No, this is great. He wakes up about 45 minutes before I do.
Right.
And I hear him rustling around. I just sleep until there's about 20 minutes to go. And then I'm up and packed. No, but really, he'll take like the tent and I'll take the rain fly and the stakes or vice versa. And it is a packing issue. But man, I grew up in Scouts, like I said, and Eagle Scouts, and even in boot camp. I never gave it a second thought. This is what you did. And backpacking and hiking. Okay. But man, in July or something, if you're camping, that's kind of hot.
yeah. Probably the easiest thing, I don't know, the easiest thing, honest to God, for me, is when we meet people.
Yeah.
People are really
I thought that would be
to-
harder.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we, because, and again, yes, we've been run off with shotguns, knives, and axes. Like, all those are on the list. But we've way outnumbering that is people who have welcomed us.
Okay.
Fed us.
Oh my gosh.
There's a guy up north who has him and his wife made us hamburgers and offered us drinks. And we've had people let us camp on the backside. Folks that we didn't know at all.
He's talking about Jim. Jim's from Muscle Beach.
Oh, no. Jim Manker is down by Winona, if you're thinking of him. That's another guy.
That's another Jim. He's from Muscle Beach. What is Muscle Beach?
Yeah, Venice Beach for your cousin.
And basically him and his wife...
He transplanted to Missouri.
Yeah, transplanted to Missouri. And we just happened to see him driving his UTV one day where we saw something in his yard. It was a manure spreader. We thought, man, that'd be really cool. We use it as a checkpoint. Him and his wife fed, I don't know how many people that year.
Yeah, like 25 riders that came
or 19.
They fed them all.
Fed them all. And gave them
They
drinks,
were
and
so
like,
excited
what?
to meet all these travelers from all points. There's another farm that they had these dogs that we kind of fell in love with, and they liked that we liked their dogs.
And they had an awesome Thunderbird.
Yeah, an old car. So we brought the adventure riders through there, and they loved that. And
Soggy Bottoms,
which is an off-road riding place.
Oh my
I saw your video on that, and they just seemed like such great people.
Really great people. Greg and Debbie Cox.
Some of the nicest people you will ever meet. Yeah. They got a phenomenal,
very welcoming,
phenomenal place. Super welcoming.
And it's very generous. Like, that's a place that normally, what does it cost? $20 or something for the day?
Yeah, probably.
And for camping.
It should, because it's
but
that
he's
nice.
let our riders, come through at no cost.
Yeah.
And these are people that before we met them, we were nobody. We were just these dusty, dirty dudes on a bike.
Well, we were nasty. We were just looking for a place to camp.
We were in a tornado down almost on the Arkansas border.
Thayer, Missouri.
Every hotel was full because everyone flooded out of Arkansas to take shelter. The hotels were full. It's like 10 o'clock at night. The sign is now almost horizontal. The guy says, look, there's no hotels open.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, can we pitch a tent behind your building? We need some kind of shelter. He goes, you could sleep on our old tool trailer. So we sleep
And
in
I was like,
So we literally racked out in this old tool trailer. But when the storm got really bad, he called us in, and we took shelter in his home, which was the office
Of a hotel.
of the motel.
Yeah.
And I mean,
No, the motel, not a
motor
hotel.
up.
yeah.
And we've just met all kinds of that has been surprising. I would agree. That's the most surprising thing, is how easy it's been.
And we're
I don't know,
because
we must look like aliens to some of these folks, but just cool people. But yeah, and I think you're right. The just managing, sometimes it's as simple as late in the day, and you're like, man, we should be turning right. No, we should be going left. This is blocked off. No, my map says it goes through, and it seems like nothing, but that can you can start to butt heads on it, and when you're together for months and months and weeks in a row, that can be challenging, but it's all water under the bridge.
Yeah.
So here's my last question for you.
Okay.
What's next?
Okay, well, so...
Well, in a couple weeks, we're going to Colorado.
this is
Is that what you mean?
We are going on a ride in Colorado, like you guys are going to Idaho.
Yeah.
But we have some other things we're wanting to do.
If you don't want to answer, you don't
No,
have to.
we will.
So while we're filming this now,
Right.
I'll mention a few things that are on the hot plate, but maybe or maybe not they'll come to fruition. So
Sure.
maybe we'll look at this 3 years ago and
laugh.
Laugh.
Or cry.
But right now, the most exciting thing is that we formed a partnership. Dale, separate from Adventure Riders, me, Dale, a friend named Will Kelm, and my dad's involved too, actually. So that collectively we could purchase some land. So we were able to get some land that you know about. We call it the Adventure Ranch, and this year on Palooza, and hopefully in the future, it's going to be a convergence point for all three tracks coming from the south.
Good.
And it is full of logging trails and
Soon to be a lot more
some
trails.
single track, and it's kind of got enough space to do that for the rest of my life if I want to, and just ride and have fun and share it with people, have friends camp there, waypoint. I mean, you could be out adventuring. We hope you'll be able to hang out there as a place that I can always camp here. And so that will be hopefully some Palooza involvement, and Dale's got a lot of ideas for maybe some other events there. And then maybe lead some rides out of that area. We both are ex-restaurateurs.
Okay.
And so for anyone that's been to Palooza, they know we've been making like all this food.
Right.
Because that's something we also have experience in. So we've talked about leading rides, maybe out of there, go do some riding, and then, like cook up an awesome meal for people. And
then there's nights I can't sleep, so I'm constantly thinking. So I've thrown these ideas to John, and then we came up with these washers. And the washer has gotten to the point where we had a number in mind that we needed to get out through the state. And
some people may not know when you're watching this video, so I'll just shorthand for anyone that doesn't know. Basically a geocache, essentially, for the layman. It's a geocache in the form of a 2-inch washer. And it's inscribed. Some of them have been laser cut, but they're numbered. And they're now all over the state.
All over. And so for that...
They're not easy to find, by the way.
But because of that, there's a couple ideas that we had that, we could start another game. Basically, you could ride from anywhere you want. You could ride from your home.
Okay.
And there'll be like so many, we'll say we're doing this area. If you want to sign up for this area, this is the area it's going to be in. So you can sign up from your home. Start time is going to be 6 o'clock in the morning. You have to be at this point at 6 o'clock at night. Whoever gets the most of these washers and sent the numbers back to us, that will be the winner.
So instead of providing tracks, the adventure there is you guide your own way with your GPS.
Right.
Okay.
And you
get the checkpoints, but not the tracks.
Right.
So you got to figure out how to get there.
And you won't get the actual waypoint until that morning.
Boom.
So it's really, you got to be a great planner.
And that could also be a team event. Like if you have two people hitting that, man, that could be fun.
So that's another game. Well, then I had one night where I slept 2 hours that night, and then I ran this idea past John, and he goes, "Man, that sounds awesome," but so the main idea, and maybe this is a big giveaway, but we want to do basically a ride around Missouri. Not through Missouri, but I mean completely like we have over 15,000 miles of just dirt.
Yeah.
Just dirt in the state of Missouri. And our belief is that you can take the tracks that we have and you can go from that part near Kansas City all the way up to, not the border, but somewhere up north, all the way east, all the way down through the south, all the way back over or wherever, and then maybe end here or whatever, and maybe do it over, 6, 7 different
Well, he's
tracks.
talking about maybe different weekends.
Yeah, different weekends.
And eventually, if you've done it all, you can get a T-shirt that's got the whole map.
We thought, well, if we can get them to go from here to here, we'll get them a T-shirt. They get to here, they get, if they've done both, they get this T-shirt. And then overall, you know how the map is. And then it would color that map in. Nice. And it would color it in. And then if you got all 5, 6, or 7 of those done, you would get the whole state colored in.
Nice.
And so...
But, when you say what's next, all these ideas, the common theme is, can we create some really fun, authentic adventure opportunities that people want to do?
Yeah.
And just...
and that's it. I mean, basically,
And it comes back to
an adventure, man.
the back roads, giving people an opportunity to get in the back roads, to have some freedom, and to give them opportunities to get together with their friends and just have at it.
There's a lot of exciting stuff. I mean, we've already thought about next year Palooza, and we're like, oh man, we need to add that.
Yeah.
Because like we went and rode some, and we're like, oh my God, we've got to add that next year because we can't put it this year because we already got this done. And
so, can we talk about just some fun Palooza things that we do?
Yeah.
So, we've got. That's our Adventure Riders flag or logo.
Yeah.
We decided that we wanted to start giving these away every year.
Yep.
And so every year we've given one away, and we have everybody that rides sign it. And then we have 2 of them. We keep one, and then we give one away every year.
Well, it's funny. We've talked about all these people. We've talked about Robbie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me. We've got Kevin. We got Brett was on there.
Beverly.
Beverly. Yeah. So I mean, all these people that.
Oh, there's Andy.
Yeah,
Cannon
Andy
from
in there.
Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and some other fun things, we started giving away wooden nickels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so for year 1, year 2, year 3, and a lot of people have commented
I love
like,
those.
yeah.
Those,
I mean, and that came about just thinking, like, I think a little bit nostalgically, like old school stuff, but like, what would I like?
Yeah.
And the T-shirts are great. Everyone gets T-shirts, but at every ride, and I was like,
but that's the thing.
Wooden nickel.
Rides give you stickers and shirts.
Yeah.
You guys give out things that are unique. Okay. And the shirts are great.
Yeah.
And the stickers are great.
That's right.
But having those little extra things is just it puts that special touch to it. So
I don't know if you can tell, we slightly modified the original logo on last year's shirt.
Yep.
So there's a little more detail in the rider.
He was trying to show my fat off.
I did not even pay attention.
That's all right.
I have not even noticed that.
Well, some of the mistakes in your
Right,
wooden plaque, we squared up a little bit.
Instead of we have now 2 E's instead of an E and a C.
It's a frickin'
But and then people get the prizes,
Right.
the door prizes, which is part of the fundraising for the thing, but also the actual homemade awards for the
we make all
scavenger
those.
hunt for the goose chase.
Yeah.
Which and again, if someone's not been on the ride, I think the coolest thing about the reason we picked this digital format for the checkpoints is because it feeds all the pictures to us so that we can not only put on a slideshow that night, but then we
It's a
upload
shared
that album
collage. It's
so
fantastic.
that everybody can go have fun and look at all their pictures.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny because over the years, I mean, we think, are we still gonna be able to do this next year?
Yeah.
And come usually December, January usually, we're like, yeah, let's
I get
go.
itchy to get out and ride. I hope we can keep it going. Folks like you that are interested in it and appreciate it and like what we're doing, that fires us up a lot. And it supports the ride. It helps get the word out because we expended every ounce of energy we had to make it successful the first 2 or 3 years. And that's not sustainable.
Well, thanks again for hanging out with me. And I know this is the longest video recording I've put up ever, just shy of an hour. But I really wanted to give an opportunity for Dale and John to kind of tell their story. I've gotten to know them even more since that time, and they're just fantastic individuals who really have a heart for the dual sport and adventure community and really want to make this a fantastic opportunity experience for everybody. Apologize for the cicadas there at the end. They started to get a little noisy. And unfortunately, I was only able to share half of the actual interview we did. The rest of it was just some fantastic stuff with some great stories and just talking about our experiences and what it's like being a part of the community here in Missouri. We really want to spread that out even further. So special thanks again to Dale and John. Special thanks to my daughter for helping me put this together. And more importantly, a special thanks to all of you guys for taking the time to listen and participate and for actually liking and sharing the videos that I do here. I do these for you because to me it's important to get the message out. Very similar to what Dale and John are doing is make this a community for people to have an opportunity to learn and experience and to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So if you like what I'm doing, like, subscribe, share. If you don't, well, see you on the flip side. Till then, ride safe and have a great time.